The old bakery hadn't sold a loaf of bread in almost 20 years. Its windows were covered with dust. The display shelves stood empty. Cobwebs stretched across the old bread racks. Even the faded sign above the entrance leaned dangerously over the sidewalk. Most people walked past without looking. 17-year-old Daniel Brooks stopped and smiled. This still feels like home. 3 days earlier, the lawyer handed him a single property deed. Around him, the rest of the family celebrated. His aunt inherited 3 apartment buildings. His uncle received Grandma Rose's farmland. His older cousins divided investment accounts, vehicles, and commercial property. Daniel received Maple Corner Bakery. His cousin laughed openly. You inherited a bankrupt bread shop. Another smiled. I'd rather inherit the old broom. Even the lawyer looked apologetic. I'm sorry, Daniel. Daniel simply folded the deed. Thank you. He meant it. Because Grandma Rose had loved that bakery more than anything. 3 months earlier, Daniel's life had already fallen apart. His father died when he was 11. His mother passed away after a long illness just before his 17th birthday. No relatives wanted permanent custody. Everyone had excuses. One aunt claimed she traveled too often. An uncle insisted his house was already too crowded. Another relative suggested foster care. Daniel quietly packed his backpack. For weeks, he slept wherever he could. Sometimes inside an abandoned shed. Sometimes on friends' couches. Sometimes beneath the covered picnic shelter near the river. Technically, he had nothing. When Grandma died unexpectedly, the bakery became the only place in the world connected to happier memories. As a child, Daniel spent every Saturday there. Grandma Rose let him shape bread dough into funny animals. She always laughed before placing them into the oven. The secret isn't flour. What is? She'd tap his forehead. Heart. He never forgot. The first morning inside the bakery felt overwhelming. The roof leaked. The refrigerator no longer worked. Several floorboards had rotted. The brick oven sat cold and silent. Still, the familiar scent of cinnamon lingered beneath years of dust. Daniel began cleaning. Broken glass disappeared. Counters slowly shined again. Old photographs returned to the walls. By the end of the week, the bakery looked less abandoned. An elderly mail carrier stopped outside. You must be Rose's grandson. Daniel nodded. I am. The man smiled warmly. Your grandmother once fed half this town during the recession. Daniel looked surprised. I didn't know that. Most people don't. He paused. She also never let anyone inside the old flour vault. Daniel frowned. Flour vault. The man pointed toward the enormous brick ovens. Behind those. There isn't anything back there. There used to be. She always said. It wasn't time yet. Those words stayed with Daniel. That afternoon he examined every wall. Nothing. Only brick. Solid stone. No hidden doorway. No trapdoor. No cellar entrance. Late that evening, he entered Grandma's tiny office. Everything remained exactly as she left it. Her favorite rocking chair. Old recipe books. Family photographs. One faded apron still hung beside the desk. Inside the top drawer rested Grandma's handwritten baking journal. Most pages contained recipes. Bread. Pastries. Cakes. Cookies. Near the very end, he discovered something different. A folded blueprint. The bakery floor plan. One room appeared behind the ovens. Labeled only. The flour vault. Across the bottom Grandma had written. Every loaf begins below. Daniel carefully studied the drawing. A tiny wheat symbol appeared beside the largest brick oven. The next morning, he searched the oven brick by brick. Nothing. Until sunlight entered through the front windows. One brick reflected slightly brighter than the others. He brushed away years of soot. A tiny brass wheat stalk appeared beneath the dirt. Grandma carved wheat stalks onto everything important. Daniel pressed the brick. Nothing happened. Frustrated, he returned to the office. He opened Grandma's baking journal again. This time he noticed something unusual. One bread recipe looked oddly formatted. The first word of every sentence spelled a hidden message. Turn the rolling pin. Grandma's favorite maple rolling pin still rested beside the preparation table. Daniel picked it up. It felt unusually heavy. He twisted one handle. A small brass key slid into his palm, along with another folded note. Bread rises because someone gives it time. People are no different. Daniel smiled. Near the wheat carving on the oven, he noticed something he had missed before. A tiny keyhole, hidden beneath years of black soot. The brass key fit perfectly. He turned it. Deep beneath the bakery, ancient gears slowly awakened. Stone shifted. Dust floated from the ceiling. With astonishing precision, the enormous brick oven silently rolled sideways along concealed steel rails. Cool air drifted upward from the darkness below. Behind the oven stretched a beautifully crafted stone staircase descending underground. Daniel grabbed Grandma's lantern. The hidden room below stole his breath. Massive oak shelves lined every wall. Recipe journals, business ledgers, leather document cases, blueprint tubes, antique baking equipment. Everything remained perfectly preserved. At the center stood Grandma Rose's magnificent oak preparation table. One envelope rested beneath an old brass lamp. Across the front appeared 5 handwritten words. "Only after you stand alone." Daniel slowly reached for it. His hands trembled, because suddenly the tiny bakery everyone mocked wasn't simply an abandoned business anymore. It had become the beginning of a mystery Grandma Rose had carefully protected for decades. And whatever waited inside that envelope was important enough to remain hidden until the one person she believed and had absolutely nothing left except the courage to begin again. Daniel carefully opened the envelope. Inside rested a handwritten letter. Beneath it lay several leather-bound ledgers, a ring of polished brass keys, old partnership contracts, patent certificates, and a small cedar box engraved with Grandma Rose's familiar wheat stock. He unfolded the letter. "My dear Daniel, if you're reading this, then life has already tested your courage more than it ever should have." His eyes filled with tears. Grandma always seemed to understand him without needing explanations. The letter continued. "Never believe your worth depends on what people leave you. Your worth depends on what you choose to build after everything else is gone." Daniel slowly looked around the hidden vault. Every shelf had been organized with extraordinary care. He opened the first journal. It wasn't a recipe book. It was a record of lives. Young bakers, single mothers, immigrant families, teenagers aging out of foster care. Whenever someone dreamed of opening a bakery but lacked money, Grandma quietly helped them. Instead of charging interest, she accepted tiny partnership shares in their businesses. Every completed story ended with the same sentence. "A loaf returned to the family oven trust." Curious, Daniel unlocked one of the wooden document chests. Inside rested ownership certificates, business agreements, royalty contracts. Grandma had invented several commercial baking tools, energy-efficient brick oven designs, and specialty bread formulas licensed to bakeries across the country. The patents were still active. The royalties continued arriving every year. He opened another cabinet. Hundreds of letters filled neatly labeled boxes. Children thanking Grandma for helping their parents. Former apprentices describing the bakeries they had opened. Families writing that one opportunity had changed generations. Daniel smiled. Grandma never collected wealth. She collected futures. Then he noticed another heavy oak door hidden behind the shelving. Unlike the secret entrance upstairs, this door displayed a polished brass plaque. The bread house. One of the brass keys fit perfectly. The lock clicked softly. Daniel slowly opened the door. He stopped in amazement. An enormous underground artisan bakery stretched beneath the building. Traditional brick ovens glowed softly beneath skylights, cleverly hidden inside the flower beds above. Long marble pastry counters lined the room. Massive dough mixers. Chocolate kitchens. Bread fermentation chambers. Beautiful oak preparation tables. Copper cookware gleamed beneath warm lighting. Everything appeared ready for work. At the center stood Grandma Rose's favorite work table. An old computer rested beside her flour-dusted recipe journal. A flash drive carried one handwritten label. The final recipe. Daniel inserted it. The monitor flickered. Grandma Rose appeared. Older. Her silver hair tucked beneath her favorite white baker's scarf. She smiled exactly as he remembered. "Hello, Daniel." Her gentle voice instantly filled the room with warmth. "If you're watching this, then you found the bakery's real secret," Daniel whispered. "I miss you." She smiled softly. "I know." Historic photographs filled the screen. Young apprentices baking before sunrise. Children proudly carrying their first loaves. Families celebrating the opening of new neighborhood bakeries. Employees laughing together while dusted with flour. When people walked through my front door, they believed I sold bread. She shook her head gently. I was never selling bread. I was creating confidence. She rested both hands on the old oak table. A loaf feeds someone today. A skill feeds someone forever. Her expression became more serious. If these investments make your future comfortable, I'm thankful. But comfort isn't your destination. It's your responsibility. She looked directly into the camera. Keep these ovens warm. Teach children. Hire people nobody else believes in. Make sure nobody who enters this bakery leaves feeling invisible. The recording slowly faded away. Silence filled the underground kitchen. Daniel remained standing, not thinking about the fortune, thinking about family. For the first time since losing both his parents, he realized Grandma had never planned to leave him money alone. She had left him a purpose. Over the following months, attorneys verified every document, every partnership agreement, every patent, every royalty contract. Everything proved completely authentic. Grandma Rose's small ownership shares across dozens of successful bakeries had quietly grown into a business portfolio worth many millions. The licensing income alone guaranteed lifelong financial security. Word spread quickly. The relatives who once mocked the bakery returned. Some apologized sincerely. Others admitted they never understood why Grandma refused every offer to sell. Daniel welcomed everyone kindly. He carried no bitterness. Grandma had spent too much of her life building bridges to waste time holding grudges. Instead of selling the bakery, Daniel restored it brick by brick. The storefront reopened. The underground bread house became exactly what Grandma envisioned. Teenagers without stable homes learned artisan baking. Single parents received professional training. Retired master bakers volunteered as mentors. Young entrepreneurs learned business management alongside traditional baking techniques. Every evening, unsold bread quietly went to local shelters and struggling families. Nobody left hungry. Within a few years, Maple Corner Bakery became the heart of the town once again. People didn't come only for fresh bread. They came because someone always remembered their name. 10 years later, visitors traveled from across the country. Food writers called Maple Corner Bakery one of America's most inspiring community bakeries. One autumn morning, a documentary crew arrived. The interviewer stood beside the enormous brick oven. "So, this is the bakery your family laughed about." Daniel smiled. "It is. And behind that oven, you discovered millions?" Daniel quietly unlocked the hidden entrance. Below, dozens of apprentices worked together. Some shaped artisan bread. Others decorated pastries. Young students learned beside experienced bakers while laughter echoed through the warm underground kitchen. Fresh loaves cooled on long wooden racks. The room smelled of butter, cinnamon, and hope. Daniel looked proudly around the workshop. The vault wasn't protecting money. It was protecting opportunity. The interviewer lowered her microphone. "What do you mean?" Daniel reached into his apron pocket. He still carried Grandma's brass wheat stock key every day. "My grandmother always told me something." "What was that?" "Good bread rises because someone cared enough to make it." He smiled toward the apprentices. "The same is true of people." Outside, the restored bakery overflowed with customers. Children waved to the windows. Former apprentices returned every year to teach new students. Fresh bread filled the entire street with its warm aroma. The tiny bakery everyone once called worthless had become the soul of the community. Because behind that hidden bakery vault wasn't simply a fortune worth millions. It was a lifetime of compassion, mentorship, craftsmanship, and quiet faith in people everyone else overlooked. And in the end, Grandma Rose's greatest recipe was never written on a page. It was proving that when one forgotten person is given a chance to rise, they can help an entire town rise with them.